Okay, this is a small PLC and some panel meters to kind of give some visual feedback and allow the operator to use the control panel in the manual mode. So I have a key switch here. I turn this off. You'll see it flashes a warning up there. What that does is that turns off the power to all the signal conditioners, the HTC controller, and anything going out to the transmission. So it still leaves kind of the power for the cabinet on, but it shuts everything that we would use to control the dyno, read the dyno, or the transmission off. And so you get feedback here when that's on. Manual or auto control, so I'm in manual. I'm using the manual dials here to adjust the speed and load on the dyno. Flip it here, this is auto. Then we would use the controls in our HTC to do the same. So speed to output loads, and this one here is reserved for the torque control on an ABB drive. Flip this back to manual. Rotation, so if you want to go in reverse rotation on the dyno, this flashes just because that's really not normal. Most of the time they would set it to forward rotation. Stall brake, so this is if we actuate a stall brake on the dyno, just a set of contacts that go out to the dyno. And over here, transmission power. So when I turn this on, it connects the ground and the 12 volts out to the transmission connector on the side of the cabinet, which is where you'd plug your harness in. And then lastly, we have an e-stop button. Now what e-stop does is it is chained in with the dyno e-stop, and it kills everything. So even if the transmission power is on, it kills the transmission. It kills all the output signals going out to the dyno, so the speed and load, and then it flashes you with this physical warning. And what has to happen is before it'll allow you to clear the e-stop, like that, I need to have my control signals for speed and load at 0. Irregardless of whether it's from the HTC or from the manual dials here, controls here. So if I go into manual mode, let's just say I'm operating at some RPM, and this just gives you feedback in percent. So I'm here, let's turn this up to about 44%, or 50%, sorry. So I would be bringing the dyno, would be at some speed, and I got my transmission on. If I hit e-stop, kills the transmission power. If I clear e-stop, it still doesn't turn the transmission power on or take it out of e-stop because I still have a speed signal going out there. And the last thing I want is the dyno to start spinning back up as soon as I clear this button. I want to be able to force the user to bring this back to 0. Then it clears the e-stop, re-enables the transmission power and grounds, and I'm ready to go again. And so that's connected to any 3 of these. So even if I had a load on all 3, I hit e-stop, I clear e-stop, it's not going to let this go until I bring my speed and my loads all the way back to about 0. There we go. And it physically cuts everything off with a relay chained in with the e-stop on the inside. The other panel meters here, just some physical indication. So if I was running this, say, manually, maybe with a different transmission controller, a handheld one, I can see what my input, my front and rear RPM are, cooler flow and pressure, kind of the basic things you need when you're running. You'd have a gauge plugged in the transmission for probably your mainline pressure, so if you didn't want to use the computer system. So, but that is the overview of the cabinet controls. So kind of duplicating what's on the Axiline stand.